Hello lovely people, you all are once again most welcome to Tutorials Point. Well, don't you all love to give suggestions, or there definitely are times wherein we need to give suggestions and we also need to take suggestions. Now, how do you think giving suggestions is or how do you think your suggestion would become actually impactful? Well, that can only happen if your suggestion is polite and it is not an order, or it doesn't sound like an order for the person whom you are suggesting anything. Now, how do you do that? How do you actually, sort of not portray, but how do you package, or how do you place your suggestions in the most polite way and in a way that they actually sound very impactful and they are going to be readily accepted by the person whom you are suggesting something? Well, what are these different ways? Precisely, this is exactly what we are going to learn in this video. So how do we actually make polite suggestions or indirect suggestions? Because obviously nobody loves to take orders. Definitely, actually no one even follows orders, right? So everyone loves to be free, but if you really want your any suggestion or any opinion or anything which you need, which you feel should be implemented, and you do not even want to sort of portray it as an order, well, then you might want to make a polite indirect suggestion to make it even more impactful. And how do we do that? Well, that is precisely what we're going to learn in this video. So let's get going. Okay, well, a very important aspect of making a polite suggestion is to use a tentative language. Now, what is a tentative language? Well, tentative language sort of it involves usage of words which soften the way in which you are going to present any suggestion, any idea, or anything which you wish to be, so that it gets implemented, which you wish for, which you really feel that it should get implemented. How do you make such suggestions? So first thing is to use a tentative language. So tentative language actually involves usage of words like perhaps, maybe, might, may, could, right? So all these words, when you use these words, they actually soften your suggestion, and definitely it becomes way more acceptable for the person who is listening to it, right? So instead of just directly barking out an order, you should do this. So you should sort of sounds way too direct, and it sounds more like an order, which definitely people don't love to take orders, neither do you. So same, it follows. So it follows, nobody loves to take an order, right? So instead of saying you should try this, when you actually say you might want to do this, or perhaps that would work. So using words like might, may, could, so these words will actually end up softening your suggestion, and definitely it is going to be way more accepted. So let's look at an example. You might want to think about so and so, or you might want to consider, or for that reason, perhaps we could, or maybe we could, right? Or it may be a good idea too. So when you use these words like might, may, perhaps, maybe, you're not making it sound like an order, and definitely when you don't make it sound like an order, the chances of it getting immediately refuted definitely are eliminated. So which is why it sounds more like sort of I think this should happen. So it sounds more like a very polite suggestion, definitely, which most people welcome. Okay, so there are certain things which you need to consider while you are using these words which are sort of softeners, which soften your suggestion. So these words perhaps sounds formal in American English, and maybe usually a better choice for informal situations. So perhaps is more used by Americans in a formal situation, whereas maybe is used in more of informal situations. So if you feel that you're interacting with a Native American and you want to put forward a very impactful, actually you want to put forward a suggestion in a very impactful manner, and it is a formal environment, definitely you might want to use perhaps. So perhaps makes it very formal for Americans. And if it is an informal suggestion or informal atmosphere wherein you are not an informal suggestion indeed, but informal atmosphere, informal sort of an environment wherein you are placing your suggestion, then maybe would definitely work. Okay, may and might definitely can be used interchangeably because both of them really soften your suggestion and make it more acceptable. Well, I'm sure this strategy is going to be very helpful, but this is not the end. There are many more. Let's go ahead and learn about them. Okay. Turn your suggestion into a question. Wow, what a smart way. Definitely, when you turn your suggestion into a question, you let the person, or you sow the seeds of thought into the person's mind, which definitely makes that person think or brainstorm about your idea. And for all you may know, if that person thinks around it, definitely it might as well be implemented. So a very, very, very smart way of presenting your suggestion in a very polite manner is turning it into a question. So let's look at an example. Have you thought about so and so, or have you considered, or what if we could, or could we, could you, or could we, would you, or so the moment you're placing it in the form of a question, you definitely are in a way making the person think. Invariably you're going to make the person think about whatever you are suggesting, and if you're able to make people think about it, definitely it is impactful. It definitely means that you have put it forward in a very impactful manner. So a great strategy to use it and then see the results. Well, how about using past tenses? So past tenses definitely again are another effective way of presenting your suggestions very, very politely. So I was thinking we could, or I thought we could. So if you're using a past tense, definitely you're like again making it sound polite, making it sound way more polite. So I was thinking we could. So when you're sort of you're not telling you should, you're not telling the person, or you're not placing an order, or sort of you're not presenting your suggestion in the form of an order. On the contrary, you're just letting the person know that this is also something in the back of my mind, and if you feel it is effective, you could try it. So, well, yet another very smart and intelligent way, and of course a polite way of putting forward your suggestion. Okay, well, last but not the least, another very, very important strategy is to use we whenever it is possible. So when you use we, it doesn't, it's sort of, it makes it sound way more collaborative rather than one person's thought, right? So it's, if you say I, it's more centered just around you. But on the contrary, whenever possible, if you're able to use we in your suggestions, definitely you make it sound very, very sort of a teamwork thing, or very, very collaborative, which makes it way more impactful, which makes it actually even more impactful. So when the same suggestions happens to come from many people together, right? So definitely when the quantity increases, it automatically makes it impactful, and which is exactly what this word we does instead of using I. So when you use we, it automatically turns it, makes it impactful. So you might want to use this word if you wish to make a very, very polite suggestion, and not just polite, but a very impactful suggestion. I'm sure all these strategies will help you. I will see you again in the next video. Till that time, keep learning with tutorials, point and tutorics. Have a good day.